Hello, I'm David Cutler, art director of Home on the Range.
I'm Christy Maltese. I headed up the background painting department on Home on the Range.
For this film, we took a trip to Wyoming and rode on horses all day long and got inspired by a lot of nature and the settings around us, and we took a lot of photographs.
I took all my photos in black and white. I didn't want to get influenced by color. As long as I had the right values, you can plug in just about any color and be safe.
I took a lot of close-ups of things like wood posts, plants, and fallen trees to get the grain of the wood and whatnot.
One of the first things that we do is the development artwork. This would be an ancestor, let's say, of the style that we ended up with. This painting was an attempt to get a lot of that real rich, deep jewel tones that we were heading for in the film.
This sets up the saturation of color that I used in the palette. It's easy to do a Western where everything's kind of brown and not real colorful, and this film was definitely playful and light. I think this piece just evokes a great Western mood using silhouette shapes.
And real stylized shapes also.
Yes, it's nice to start in a bold, strong place. If you don't push it that way to begin with, you don't end up in that arena.
And we did actually keep some real unusual colors, especially like in the opening sequence.
The classic Western arch. Just taking what we saw out in nature and transferring that to some of the locales for the film. This piece was a great influence on the faceting in the film, overlapping shapes and colors on the background that have a very geometric shape to them.
The faceting on the ground and on the shapes that you see can be thought of as the faceting in a diamond or another gemstone.
Faceting created a theatrical lighting, which we used a lot in the film. This is one of Mike Humphrey's early pieces, and it helped create the vignetted lighting plan that we used on the film of where you want to have the audience look. You key that spot brighter. This piece was done early on by a development artist we had, Karen Scarpula. She came in and nailed the textural thing, and I think that spun off where we went later, definitely set up the shapes behind objects like what you see in the tumbleweed bushes here.
And it just sort of gives you the illusion that there's a whole lot going on when really all she did was rubber stamp some shapes.
Deceptively simple.
It is deceptively simple, yes. I asked the background painters to approach the backgrounds as if they were an arts and craft project. It really is a hard thing to work just in shapes and textures and pull it off. Pattern,
like you said, and shapes, and getting repeated patterns to create a texture like you see going on with the yellow triangles and the ground plane, or the red stripes across the buttes, the strong shape language going on. Just real shape-oriented, stylized look.
Really flatten the space, flatten the perspective.
And very playful. This is an early establishing layout of the town, creating the different buildings and where they were in location to each other.
Right before we went into production, we had honed in on what we wanted to do with the ground and some of the textures.
Things didn't have to be all drab, unpainted wood. The buildings could actually be colored buildings.
We did end up with a purple building and a green building and a yellow building. That's Pearl's farm out there. This is when we first see the farm. It's sort of Maggie's viewpoint.
Hey, a dairy farm? Now we're talking. Hope it's not one of them fat-free places.
That lacy feeling, I just adore it. It has a soft nature to it. It is organic, and you can kind of see through it into the sky beyond. What you get from this is more a mood. It's a snapshot of a mood.
You get before I start using words no good woman should ever use.
Before Pearl was Pearl, she was a man. This is a very early sketch that was a pretty big influence on the look of Pearl once she changed from being a male. This sketch is kind of a midpoint. She's definitely on her way to being the character that she ended up.
Good morning, Sam. Oh, is that ornery horse getting away from you again?
These are early explorations I did on Slim. The directors picked, we know we like the red hair. We like the orange one as far as the shirt and maybe the chaps from the one on the right side of the screen. This is an early drawing of Slim, closer to what we ended up with in the film. And here we have the final design, just taking elements from all those previous designs we had done, and this was what we ended up with.
5,000 Texas Longhorns. Not bad for one night's work.
This is our character designer sketch of Rico. You can see he's a little bit more caricatured here than he ended up in the final film. We tended to pull him in a little bit.
Who is that?
This is an early sketch of Buck, trying to keep the shapes in a strong language that worked with what we were doing with the backgrounds on the film. This is an early animation drawing of Buck, exploring his attitude, and I think it really comes across as far as the way he reacted to the three cows when they first showed up in town.
Well, if it isn't three maids a-milking. You girls, little far from home, aren't ya?
And this is our final model of Buck. He's a very tough character to do, very deceptively simple. The character really comes through in the animation.
Cleaning up the West. Kicking bad guy behind. Woo! What?
Buck's fantasy sequence.
This sequence and also the yodeling song were the two parts in the film where we really got to push the style. This was real fun.
He's a genuine desert shaman, our very own wise man.
This is an early development painting, just exploring Jack. He actually has a bandaged foot here. This was before we went with the peg leg.
He's got his attitude here, though, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Woo! Dang, nabbit! This happens all the time. Now, where was I?
It's funny because here his character was written like what Grace ended up in the film, which was kind of a new age type spiritual character.
This is an organic problem, and there's a holistic solution.
Cows can kind of look all the same, so it was tricky to get them into three individual characters that were not just their personality, but also their shape language. This initially established the idea of doing the three cows as leads. We were trying to get three very distinctive cows, a purple cow and a tan cow and an orange pinkish cow. Grace obviously stayed tan, and Calloway moved from being purple to black and white, and Maggie to a brown cow. This piece was a big influence on the character of Maggie, the kind of bold brassiness of the character.
This one's for me.
Ah, that was good.
She's a little softer here than what she ended up, but still her shape language and her size language definitely is apparent here. This again is an early drawing, and I think just sets up the mood and kind of tone of Maggie's character. These are more final designs of Maggie, kind of exploring Roseanne-type expressions on the character.
Look, we don't eat meat. It's kind of like a professional courtesy.
Perhaps we'll dine with you some other time.
It's an early storyboard sketch of Calloway that really conveyed that upper crust English mood that we were trying to get with her, that Judi Dench did in the final film.
Now, tut-tut, no mushy goodbyes, my little ones. You know how I get about overly emotional displays.
Closer to the final design, she's a little more playful here in attitude. Calloway is very rigid as a character, and she's very rectangular here. She didn't end up a purple cow, but we went with the purple hat.
Why don't you handle this one, Grace? It's time I gave you more responsibility on the farm.
Really? Thanks, Mrs. C. I'll make you proud.
This is a very early drawing of Grace, again exploring the shapes, just different expressions and attitudes based on Jennifer Tilly's voice.
I'm sensing a lot of negative energy here.
This was an earlier version of the cows under the tree. The tree originally had a real strong presence in the film. It was dear to the hearts of the cows. Oh, I love this.
This again is a development piece that established the idea of the cows being lost out in the great Wild West.
And even though the colors and the shapes and everything that's telling us that these cows are in trouble, there's something about it that's still reassuring that everything's going to be okay.
Aw.
Okay, everyone, big smiles.
This is David Cutler saying thank you for joining us through this tour of the development and final artwork on Home on the Range.
This is Christy Maltese, and I hope you enjoyed the show.